I got married quite early, at the age of 19, in my third year of college. My wife is 1 year younger than me. In the first year of his life, a son appeared. 8 years later, a daughter was born. I worked for a large metallurgical company. Then he became deputy general director and co-owner. Now I'm 60 years old, and my wife is 59 years old. Throughout my married life, I had no reason to reproach my wife for anything. I never once had the thought that she was not faithful to me. The children have grown up. Son and daughter work in the police. The son is already a colonel and head of the department. The daughter of a warrant officer. Both have their own families, including grandchildren. We lived well, at least I thought so. During the entire time of our marriage, I never raised my voice to her. She was never refused anything. I felt pleasure giving her gifts. I really loved her, and on a personal level we had no problems with her. Despite her age, my wife managed to preserve and even enhance her natural beauty. Natasha, that was my wife's name, worked in a pharmaceutical company. She was the head of the marketing department, and because of her work she often went on business trips, especially for the last 5 years. Business trips sometimes lasted up to 2 to 3 months. She explained this by the fact that she had to regulate the volume of supplies of drugs in pharmacies, especially in large cities of Siberia. She very often had to visit Krasnoyarsk while on business trips. My wife did not forget to call almost every day and tell me that she really misses me and the children. Once our metallurgical company entered into an agreement with Krasnoyarsk colleagues, and I, as deputy general director, went to the site to finally resolve the issue. This is where it all happened. After signing the contract, we went to the office of their general director. As usual in such cases, there was a table set with drinks and light snacks. There were several photographs on the CEO's desk. I looked at them and my breath caught. In one of the photographs, the owner of the office stood in an embrace with a spectacular fair-haired woman, in whom I immediately recognized my wife Natasha. To be honest, my head went blank. With an incredible effort of will, I collected my thoughts and asked in a deliberately indifferent tone, "Who is this in the photo, hugging you next to you?" And the CEO proudly explained, "This is his beloved woman, with whom he has been for 4 years." And he offered to continue the feast in his country mansion, promising at the same time to introduce him to his common-law wife. On the way, he praised his beloved very much, telling her what a great housewife she was. The only bad thing is that she often had to go to her sick mother and spend a long time with her, but he hoped that everything would work out and she and her beloved could be together. Listening to his revelation, my heart was pounding in my throat. I was very afraid that I wouldn't be able to stand it and might strangle him, although I understood that it was not his fault. We arrived at a well-kept mansion and the owner invited me to come into the house. We went into the dining room and he proudly introduced me to that is, my wife. Natasha froze when she saw me. It was clear that she was short of air. She turned white and began to slowly sink to the floor. Her friend barely had time to pick her up in his arms. I realized that if I didn't leave now, I could kill them both. I turned and without saying a word, almost running, left the mansion. A taxi passed by and I managed to stop it. I picked up my things at the hotel and rushed to the airport. I bought a ticket for the next flight. I only began to come to my senses on the plane. There was only one question pulsing in my head: why is she doing this to me? I barely remember how I got home. I walked around the apartment from corner to corner. I constantly repeated why. I couldn't sit or lie down. By the morning, my legs were swollen from stress. My heart was no longer beating. It was thundering, and from time to time I fell somewhere down. Suddenly I felt a lot of pain in my chest and I lost consciousness. I thought I was having a stroke. My driver found me when he didn't wait for me at the agreed time to take me to work. Concerned, he opened the apartment with his key and saw me unconscious on the floor and immediately called an ambulance. Thank God everything worked out. Due to nervous tension, my heart rhythm was disrupted, and this provoked severe chest pain. I spent about 3 weeks in the hospital. All this time, Natasha tried to call me, but I didn't pick up the phone, and then turned off the phone altogether. I turned it on at home and immediately the phone rang. Natasha was talking nonsense, trying to explain something, asking for forgiveness, even trying to blame me for something. At the end of the conversation, she began to scream that the children and I were everything to her, that she loved only me and begged her to forgive. I listened to it to the end and silently turned off the phone. I couldn't take it anymore. For 4 years, my wife lived a double life, dodged and lied. All this time, the children tried to figure out what happened, but I was scared and ashamed to tell them everything, although I understood that sooner or later I would have to do this. Natasha arrived a month later. She still hoped to somehow persuade me to forgive her. After listening to her for about an hour, I called my son and daughter and asked them to come. When they arrived, I suggested that Natasha tell them everything herself. During her story, the children sat and silently listened to her chaotic speech. It came down to the fact that I did not pay enough attention to her and did not see her as a woman, so she found love on the side, and it was stronger than her. But she loves us very much and asks us to forgive her. The son spoke first. "Mom, you acted meanly towards us and father. This is Dad's business, but I wouldn't forgive." The daughter stood up silently, tears rolling down her face. Without saying a word, she left the room. Natasha understood everything. She somehow immediately sank, dropped her shoulders and left the apartment without looking at me. I went to the window. My now ex-wife came out of the entrance and got into the taxi that was waiting for her. She returned to her lover in Krasnoyarsk. She appeared 6 months later. Her new husband died in a car accident, and his children quickly evicted her from the mansion. She had nowhere to go, and she returned to our city. She tried to meet me several times, but I refused to communicate with her. The children also did not answer her calls. Now she lives in her parents' apartment and works in a pharmacy. I know nothing about her personal life. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe to our channel and you will be the first to listen to another new story.